And welcome back. Today we are flying out the Ki-200 at 8.7, which is, yes, completely over-tiered, but that's not what we are going to be talking about today. The differences between this as well as the Me163 are pretty minimal. The 163 is slightly better, it has more fuel, it has more thrust, it's slightly heavier, but it also has more wing area. This thing is just straight up worse than the Me163, other than, well, the guns. But you fly them exactly the same. The only thing is, if you start 1v1ing another 163 in the Ki-200, you are gonna have a little bit of a problem. And I want to start off with gameplay right off the bat, because the way you fly this thing is completely dependent on the willingness of the enemy to actually fight you. This MiG-17 ripped his wing off, so I want to kind of put him into the ground. Don't manage to get hits in, he kind of rolls around all over the place, and the rate of fire as well as the inaccuracy of these guns make it so that it's pretty annoying to really kill people at medium to high speed. As long as, of course, they are paying attention, because the rate of fire makes it so that they can very easily fly through your guns. Right there I got my guns on, but my rate of fire didn't hit, so I end up just shooting around him. And now we have all these guys around us. The MiG-17 is RTB, we have another J4 and a 6, which is essentially a MiG-17. And then we have an A4E coming in, which has the least priority. And we have the G91. Now, while the G91 might not be the biggest problem in this kind of furball, the MiG-17 is definitely more dangerous. The G91 actually has a very easy to use gun, so he's the most likely to actually put us into the ground if we aren't careful. So I want to get out of his guns as much as possible. We have to go head on with the A4, we dodge him. That was nowhere near us, but he manages to get a 50 kills in anyway, because these things just hits different. And then he gives us his ass. Should be a pretty easy shot. We don't manage to connect. Do not get greedy, because if I do get greedy right there, I will simply die. So we go defensive again for the J4, which is relatively easy to dodge because of the 37, as well as just the roll rate in general. It's a lot better than the MiG-15, but it's still a MiG. We dodge the 50 cals and we go straight back up and over. We are getting on the 6th of the G91. We don't instantly get the shot, so we do keep looking around just to be sure. We delay our pull up a little bit here to get inside of the turning circle of the J4. We dodge the last second, go around his guns, and the G91 is now essentially stalled out in our guns. Should be a pretty easy shot. One of my first games, so my aim is going to be absolutely piss poor. But in the end, we shove a 30 mil right in the back of his head. The J4 is now going vertical. He gets caught out by a F86F. I think it's an F25. He gets hit a little bit, he gets damaged, and he goes straight back to his airfield. And we are gonna do the exact same thing, because we need to RTB here. We have very little amount of fuel, little amount of ammo, and there's an A10 right there ground pounding, so I need to make sure that he doesn't actually kill all the tickets. And a lot of guys were saying, why do I have to deal with A10s in my Me163 or Ki-200? Well, I do agree that it has no business fighting each other. The A10 is about the easiest and freest kill you are going to get in your Ki-200. The missiles don't really track, and if they do, you can instantly turn your engine off, you lose all your heat signature. It's not faster than you, it doesn't turn better than you, it can do exactly nothing to you. The A10 is dead in the water against the Ki-200. I do agree. This thing should not be 8.7 and it should not be seeing the A10. Nothing wrong with that argument. The thing is, nothing kills the A10 harder than a Ki-200 or an Me163. Well, all of them may be the same size of the enemy airfield. So, next game, next furball. And these are the best case scenarios. We dive in, there's a guy going relatively slow, we shoot a few rounds, and when people are going pretty slow and they can't really dodge your guns very well, these guns slap extremely hard. Down he goes, onto the next one, very easy shot, but again, we shoot around him, we mislead a little bit, shoot a little bit too much to his left. We missed the rounds, but he is completely occupied, and this guy is gonna eat some more 30 mils right after we miss him. Kill number 2 pretty quickly, and here comes the Me163. We're gonna 1v1 in the 163 later on, one that's actually paying attention to us. But here I want to kind of show the struggles of this plane in a certain regard, if people are paying somewhat attention and are somewhat defensive flying. Most planes cannot defensive fly very properly versus you as long as they aren't faster. If people are faster than you, which is about the entire raster at 8.7 and up, you won't really do much against them. And you can tell here, if he pulls to the left and right at the opportune times with this low rate of fire, even though I have a very high velocity, by the time I get my guns on, by the time I squeeze the trigger, it's just not very great. You can hit these, of course, course, when they pull into you and you expect the roll in and he doesn't pay attention to where my guns are pointed, very easy kill. But if they are reacting to you, it is a little bit annoying to get your guns on. And it's not because this thing is bad at sitting on your 6. It's one of the rattiest plane in the game. And if you do not outrun this thing, you are going to die. Unless, of course, you are in the 163. You do not want to get a Ki-200 or an Me163 on your 6, especially if it's outrunning you. If you are in a Saber, you are literally untouchable. All you have to do is just jank your wings a little bit left and right, and this thing is never going to hit you as long as you keep paying attention. And you will eventually just outrun it. The top speed acceleration is not very great on these things. And the biggest problem that you will find with this thing is it goes about 960 kilometers an hour, which is no slouch. It's not extremely slow. But you are at 8.7 with this thing, and for it to go that fast, it has to use an absolute metric shitload of fuel. Something that you do not have much to spare of. So if you stay above 850, 900, it's probably more safe. If it wants to kill you, it's going to use almost all of its fuel and it's going to end up with a singular kill. Whereas if you try to dogfight this thing, you are instantly going to die. It's a very boring dynamic, and it's the same with the Yak-23, Sagittario, the rocket planes in general. It's all a super boring mechanic because you just have to run them out of fuel. Or just double team them. Which, no, it isn't fun. No, it isn't a great mechanic. But hey, you can't really balance these planes, and that's why it's going up so much. And I think it's a good thing. I'd rather have these things be kind of useless but very annoying, opposed to them being way too strong and actually winning the entire match. And as I say that, I get a donation from Tim Martin. I normally don't shout these out, but thank you very much for the 50 bucks if you are watching this one. On to the next game. We have a MiG-21 above us. This is a full up tier. It's the MiG-21S, and that guy will fly away from me without a singular problem. Same with the F-105 that's flying below us. A-10s in the game as well. We have an A4E going head on. High velocity guns, click right on this cockpit, he doesn't move, this person says yes, and down he goes. The MiG-21 sees me tangled up with an A4E. He turns around instantly, notices that the A4E is actually dead, doesn't try to take the head on. I completely whiffed the shot. I have no excuse for that one, other than my mouse was not positioned well, but, well, that's mostly my fault, isn't it? MiG-21 did a turn, did another turn, and he is still outrunning me. So what do? I'm not going to focus him with full throttle. It's not worth my time. I'm just going to break off, and I'm going to go for the MiG-17 that's behind us, in the hope that the MiG-21 instantly turns around for us, just as we did with the A4E. I'm hoping that he's going to be very aggressive, and if he is going to be aggressive, he's going to bleed a very big amount of speed, which is what we want. So we need to get this guy slow without him feeling in danger too much. We go head on, we shoot around, he shoots his radar missile at us. Not really gonna track. We just pull out of the way, we turn back in, and we actually made this guy lose enough speed. He does another 180, and now he's actually going slower than us. So even if he tries to dive away, he needs to dive away at an opportune angle. If he does not, he is going to die. Instead, he's gonna stick to dogfight and then try to run away. Going a little bit too slow, bozo at that end, and down he goes. We break off and we go for the next guy. A4E going head on with us. We shoot a few rounds again in the head on. This time we miss it, however. And we just loop up and over. We are about to kill this guy without much issue because he's simply just flying straight. We miss him, however. We shoot a few more rounds. We miss him again. We adjust, looking at the tracers, and down he goes. A4B shoots a missile at us. No big deal, that's not going to pull in, otherwise if it was, I could have just turned my engine off. We stall back on top of the A4, we dive right on him. I don't want to dive too steeply, so I was waiting a little bit to get more behind him, but by the time I get in position, he gets missiled by a friendly. A4E early here, pulling into us, one tapped him out of the air, and we are going to be looking for the last few guys. 68 rounds left, plenty of kills. And this game is essentially over at this point. Two guys left, Yak-28 as we can see right ahead of us, and a MiG-17 that's sitting on the runway. And the Yak-28 is gonna go head on with us. He is climbing at the moment, so he shouldn't be going too fast, so I throttle back up. Trying to get my speed up as high as I can. Go head on, we miss him, we go up and over, and we should be able to turn around before he gets his speed back up, as long as he didn't dive out before that head on. And he didn't, instead he tries to pull back up. Goes right into my guns. Very slow, very big. very easy kill. MiG-17 now right below us, and we are on very low amounts of fuel. He's gonna do absolutely nothing versus us. I've been waiting for him to take off, get some separation from the runway, and I don't want to wait too long, because if he goes too fast, he's actually going to be able to outrun us again, and that's something I do not want. So instead, we are just going to dive on him, shoot from range, and just as we pull the trigger, he's going to react to that, and then he's just simply going way too slow. I'm dead on his 6, he's giving me a full profile, we squeeze the trigger, and down goes the MiG-17. And here we are, 163, first actual game I did in this plane. And it's going to be a pretty lengthy 1v1, because the 1v1 keeps becoming a 2v1 or more, with another MiG-15 bis, which is actually pretty damn dangerous in this thing. So 163 going for us, he's pulling lead here, he's pulling in front of my nose, so I'm going to cut throttle a little bit to slow down as much as I can in a very short amount of time, and then we instantly get on the 6. We do not want the 163 to get on our 6, because that puts us in a very bad position, because his plane is better. If we get on his 6, his plane might still be better, but he is then one mistake away from straight up dying. I get the angle on him, he will win that raid fight in the long run. I'm not gonna take it. G91 comes in, so we dodge his guns. We pull back into the 163. The 163 is definitely the most dangerous plane here, and he got pretty damn close with that shot, so that put me a little bit on edge. Having the feeling that he might actually know how to use those guns. It might be a stroke of luck, but I will not count on it. We again cut the throttle a little bit to instantly get behind him, because he was in a favorable position. We instantly get on his 6 again, because we are a lot slower at this point, and we can go straight up after him. But the second I decide that the MiG-15 looks to be going for us, he wasn't actually, but I couldn't really risk it. So now we are again in a very bad position because of the other planes that are around. And the 163 is now yet again on R6. And I'm trying to get a little bit of speed back up here, because I need some speed to actually work with this guy. Because if we are both going very, very slow, his advantage will only become more pronounced. At higher speeds, the margin for error is much, much smaller. And I want to abuse that fact. So he gets on R6. I want to pull out of his guns, paying attention to where he is going, and then where the MiG-15 or the G91 is going. The MiG-15 here would be getting a shot if I had pulled into the position I wanted to be in with the 163. So instead, we get the 163 on R6 again. So we dodge his guns, we roll up and over, and he shouldn't be able to get the guns on here. Because of what I showed earlier, if you have some speed, it's very annoying for the 163 to actually shoot you down, especially if you have the velocity of the MK108. So we cut throttle yet again, he gets reversed, and now we should be able to pull after him pretty handily, but it's a 163 and he has burned more fuel than us, because he has been throttling up more at the start of the game, in the initial climb. At the start of the match he was higher, he was faster, indicating that he burned more fuel than us, which is something that we do not want, because the rocket fuel is extremely heavy. So now we are in an even bigger disadvantage. We have a 163 that's already better than us to begin with, but he also burned more fuel than us. So we don't manage to get the guns on yet again. And again, this has been the first game in this thing, so I have no fucking clue where these guns are going. So excuse me for my absolute piss poor aim. We are able to get the guns on almost right there. Keeping an eye on that MiG-15, I'm just trying to bait him onto going for me, pretending to go for the 163, making him a little bit more greedy. And now we might be able to reverse the 163 or the MiG-15, as the 163 is flying into the opposite direction. It would be very, very nice of him. The 163 is indeed RTB, and this MiG-15 is gonna stick the dogfight. Not a very good idea. And just to show you how easy it is to kill a MiG-15 if it's actually full sending for you, eventually he's gonna run out of energy. And again, yes, that's some of the worst aim you'll ever see on the channel. But hey, we all learn from our mistakes. I also want to RTB, so I'm getting a little bit greedy and I'm just kind of spraying, trying to get him down as quickly as I can. And we do. Down he goes. And here is the 163. Yet again, fully refueled, fully rearmed. This time I'm on equal amounts of fuel because I actually afterburned, or well, full throttle right towards him. So we should be somewhat similar right now. He messes up the first turn. We get on the 6. We don't get the shot there because of the stall control of this thing. And I'm on 60% throttle, I am aware. We're gonna throttle back up very soon here and simply dive straight out. because we do not want that guy on our 6 if we are going slow. Same reason as earlier, simply because of the margin of error. 163 is going to be diving on us, and we are going to be setting up so he can very easily die. I'm predicting his turn here, or not really predicting, I'm making him predict my turn, and if he goes for the shot, he is going to put himself into a very bad position. He cut throttle there, so I'm going to drain him of his energy. We go down a little bit in throttle to get that little bit of extra angle, and that's exactly what we get. Right on the 6 of the 163, down he goes. And there comes Mr. number 2, a MiG-15, broken petrol. And he is also going to try the dogfighters. And let me tell you, for the so many times in this video, it's simply not gonna work. I'm on 2.5 minutes of fuel. He just took off, climbed straight into us. He's not going very fast. He is still on his full min fuel load. And guess what? You're not gonna get very far if you then try to dogfight me. The MiG-15 then tries to run away, but at this point it's a little too late. To the point where I can actually cut my throttle. He's gonna pull right into our guns here. And down he goes. Thank you all for watching. See you all in the next one.